From an awkward but brilliant student to a friendly neighborhood crime fighter, this guy can crawl on walls and sling webs. As the first teenage superhero who was neither a sidekick nor part of a group of heroes, this character quickly became a fan favorite. Today, he's considered to be the most popular superhero in the world, even though some things he made aren't that heroic. The story of today's video is about Marvel's Spider-Man. You probably already know Peter Parker and his tragic backstory well. There have been several comic versions and screen portrayals of this beloved superhero. Before director John Watts' Spider-Man joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as portrayed by Tom Holland, there was Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man version with Andrew Garfield playing the role, and the OG adaptation, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire. Let's get to know the origin story of the MCU's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man ahead of this epic film. But first, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Originally intended to be nothing more than a filler, the character of Spider-Man first appeared in The Amazing Fantasy issue number 15 back in 1962. However, Peter Parker resonated so well with comic book fans, especially young readers, that the issue became one of Marvel's best-selling comics just months after its release. As a result, Marvel Comics gave the teen hero his own solo series, The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Issue Number 1, released in March 1963, and the rest was history. Comic book legends Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko all lay claim to the initial concept of this character. While their contradictory statements make it unclear who ultimately came up with the idea of Spider-Man, it seems that a combination of their efforts produced the popular hero we know today. Stan Lee capitalized the idea of an ordinary teen hero and the name Spider-Man. He added the hyphen to distinguish the red and blue costumed web-slinger from DC's Superman. Artist Jack Kirby fleshed out the character and his powers, and would go on to draw the cover art. Meanwhile, artist Steve Ditko designed the iconic Spider-Man costume and his famous wrist web shooters. Born and raised in Queens, New York, Peter Parker became an orphan at an early age. His parents, Richard and Mary Parker, were both CIA agents. In Amazing Spider-Man Annual Volume 1, Issue Number 5, it's revealed that the Red Skull killed Peter Parker's parents and framed them for treason. After the death of his parents, Peter lived with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben, who raised him as their own. In school, Peter's bright mind earned him top grades and a reputation as a child prodigy. It also made him a frequent target of bullying, and ironically, future Spider-Man fan club founder Flash Thompson was the worst of them all. During a visit to a science expo on radiation manipulation and genetics, a spider suddenly bit Peter's hand. Unaware that the spider was exposed to a particle beam, the 15-year-old teen thought nothing of it as he left the exhibit. On his way home, a car almost struck Peter, but the teen instinctively avoided harm by leaping and sticking to a wall. Surprised by his newfound powers, Peter decided to test out the extent and limits of his arachnid-like abilities. In addition to being able to scale walls with his hands and feet, Peter discovered he now possessed super strength and a heightened agility. The spider bite also gave him accelerated healing and a spider sense to detect imminent danger. When Peter came across an ad for an exhibition match with a pro wrestler, he signed up to test his skills but donned a mask to hide his identity. Peter Parker easily defeated the wrestler. His victory caught the interest of a producer who offered the teen a chance to debut his masked act on TV. To complete the look for his TV appearance, Peter designed his iconic red and blue costume, along with his wrist-worn web shooters, capable of shooting synthetic spider webs. In an attempt to protect and hide his abilities from his adoptive parents, Peter picked the moniker Spider-Man to match his powers. The young Peter Parker became a television sensation as Spider-Man. Unfortunately, the fame and power got to the teen's head and he refused to use his abilities for anything other than his personal gain. After one of his show appearances, Peter Parker saw a security guard chasing after a burglar. Despite the guard's pleas for his help in stopping the thief, Spider-Man chose not to intervene. Rationalizing to himself that catching criminals was not his responsibility, Peter did nothing to stop the burglar from getting away. His outlook changed completely. when Peter learned that the same burglar killed his Uncle Ben. Knowing that he could have easily caught the criminal who murdered his uncle made Peter feel responsible for Uncle Ben's death. From that day on, Peter vowed to use his powers to help others instead. Afterwards, Spider-Man transformed into a friendly neighborhood hero. Despite his best efforts to stop crime, the publisher J. Jonah Jameson began a smear campaign against the web-slinger, which made it absolutely impossible for the teen to continue his TV career. This prevented young Peter from easing the financial strain on Aunt May following the death of her husband. Peter Parker eventually realized he could profit from J. Jonah Jameson's dislike for Spider-Man by selling photographs of himself in action to the publisher. Throughout the rest of his high school years, Peter fought off several villains including Dr. Octopus, the Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, and his greatest enemy, the Green Goblin, aka Norman Osborn. We've already made a video about the origin story of this last villain, so feel free to check out our channel for more. Peter also joined the Fantastic Four on many of their missions, and would often team up with the Human Torch, who became one of his closest friends despite the stark contrast in their personalities. At one point before his high school graduation, the Avengers recruited the teen hero. In Avengers Volume 1, issue number 11, Spider-Man helped Captain America, Thor, the Wasp, and Giant Man defeat a Spider-Man android sent by Kang the Conqueror. It would be awesome if we could see this happen in a future MCU movie. After his Midtown High graduation, Peter Parker attended Empire State University as a science major. There he met his first love, Gwen Stacy, and his best friend, Harry Osborn. He also introduced his eventual love interest, Mary Jane or MJ Watson, to Harry, and the pair began to date. These three people and his relationships with them shaped much of Peter Parker's young adulthood. Meanwhile, Peter started a romance with Gwen. Unfortunately, their relationship was riddled with tragedy, starting with the death of her father, NYPD Police Captain George Stacy. During a battle between Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man, Captain Stacy was crushed by debris while trying to save a child. Unaware of Peter's superhero identity, Gwen blames Spider-Man for the death of her father. Shortly after, Gwen was kidnapped by the Green Goblin, who discovered Spider-Man's true identity as Peter Parker. She died after the Green Goblin threw her off a bridge, and Spider-Man attempted to save her with a web line that snapped her neck. The Green Goblin also seemingly died during this confrontation with Spider-Man. Following his father's death at the hands of Spider-Man, Harry Osborn's mental state began to grow increasingly unstable. This prompted Mary Jane to end their relationship and confront her feelings for Peter. Harry, on the other hand, decided to continue his father's legacy as the Green Goblin. This forced Peter Parker to fight his best friend. Harry almost killed both Mary Jane and Peter on several occasions. However, on his last attempt, Harry spared both of them. He acknowledged Peter as his best friend, and with his last breath before succumbing to the unstable nature of the Goblin formula with his blood. In Amazing Spider-Man Annual Issue number 21, Mary Jane and Peter got married. As the wife of Spider-Man, MJ was often the target of many villains. Though Peter's dangerous life as Spider-Man continuously strained their marriage, the couple always reconciled. Due to his status as an Avenger, Peter Parker was forced to reveal his secret identity after the Superhuman Registration Act was passed. Soon after, Aunt May was accidentally shot by a sniper who meant to kill Spider-Man. Desperate to save his aunt, Peter approached Dr. Strange, who informed him that magic couldn't save her life. The distraught Peter was then approached by the demon MEPHISTO. He offered to save May Parker's life in exchange for Peter and MJ's marriage. The couple agreed, and for Peter's sake, MJ added the condition that everyone would forget Peter Parker was Spider-Man. MEPHISTO accepted and rearranged history. To everyone except for Peter and MJ, their marriage never happened, and Spider-Man never revealed his true identity to the world. So what do you think about the true origins of Spider-Man? Were you surprised to find out this beloved hero initially used his abilities solely for fame and fortune? If you like this origin, please don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and like the video, cause there is a lot more coming. Thank you, and see you again soon.